you, Joe?
I'm doing good. What's up, everybody out there?
Well, we decided you made a post today, Joe. What was it about?
Coaching and mentoring, and we're talking kind of paid coaching, paid mentoring, what you should expect to get out of it, and a little bit about snake oil salesman and the whole 9 yards.
The old snake oil. And look at man, you got that safety sticker up there on the wall, just where I don't want you to have it.
Yeah, well, I got one on the wall and I got one on my truck, and then I got the hat too that y'all sent me the other day.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Guys, I'm going to put a link up to get you, if you want a set of free safety stickers. Unlike Joe, one goes on one side of the truck, the other one goes on the other side of the truck, or one on the back, but don't put one on the wall. Save it, put two on the back if you're going to put them only on the back. These things are really, really cool stickers. I mean, they're highly reflective. What do you think of the reflectability on these things?
Actually, Joe? I love them. I got the one on the vehicle. It's easy to see. They're just actually look like a quality sticker. I mean, I've got stickers in the past that you just go to put them on. You're like, this wasn't any worth the time, but I think they'll hold up a little bit.
Yeah, they're gonna hold up. But anyways, you made a post about coaching because I don't want to say you're anti-paid coaching necessarily.
No, because I'm definitely not anti-paid. If I'm taking the time out of my day to go out to somebody's business and spend a week in there, I'm all for it.
What you said, because I think what you said about, like, basically you said that there, if you give me your money, I'll go ahead and do this for you, and then magically, these people are successful.
The problem that I see, and we might disagree a little bit on this, I have nothing wrong with somebody paying a coach at all. I think if you're going to expect somebody to take their time and mentor you or coach you, whatever you want to call it, then you do need to pay them. The problem I see is the people that are trying to sell success. You can sell how to, you can tell people how you made your success. You can teach people all kinds of different things. The honest truth about it, you cannot make somebody successful. It don't matter what training you put in front of them. If that person's not willing to put in the work and has determination and the drive to do it, they're not going to be successful. And that's what gets me, is the ones that are out there saying, if you give me $700 a month for the next 6 months, I guarantee you're going to be successful. No, you cannot guarantee that.
Yeah, and then that's what kind of spurred me to say, it kind of I feel like I put a good post in there, and I think
you did.
That basically what I said is that, and this is it. This is the difference. This is just, maybe it's an epiphany that happened this morning when I saw your post, but here it is. And I can collaborate this with past students of mine that, because I coach for free, and then they go out and get a paid course, and then they come back and go, Ron, it's the same stuff you taught me, except we just didn't implement it. We implemented it because we were paying for it. Therefore, we felt it was valuable. And now we're being, now we're successful with it. But it was the same things you were trying to tell us. We just didn't implement it. Now,
exactly.
Here's something that I want to say. Is that part of my failure in the free coaching? Probably. Because here's the thing. The people that succeed with me, Joe, are the people that have the grit, that have the drive. You know what I mean? Because they know that, wait a minute, this guy's been doing this for a long time. He's very successful. If he tells us to do these things and we do them and we implement them, we're going to succeed. Why do they know this? Because, Joe, I'll bet you that I've got more successful, like, in the sense that guys that are doing over $1 million and many doing $3, $4, $5 million over the years that I've coached, and than probably anybody in the industry. But the problem is just like, it's just like we were talking about the team thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have, and not everybody on the team is going to be a star athlete. They're not going to be the star on the team.
Let me interrupt you for a second there too. One thing that I think people make a mistake, and I think you're going to agree with me on this, is you hire a coach or you hire a mentor. The coach or mentor should not be in a position to where they're trying to make you dependent on them. The coach or mentor's job is to show you the tools to make you successful so you can go off on your own and be dependent without them. They can be a cheerleader in your corner or, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, some of these coaches out there, and this pisses me off too, are actually taking the people and instead of just showing them what they want, they're showing them how they got to be dependent on them. And if I go in to help somebody, I don't want them to be dependent on me for the next 20 years. I want to show them what I know. I want to see them do good. I want to see them get to a point to where they're over me. And that should be the goal of any coach or mentor, not to make these people that are paying you dependent on paying you every month so their business shows success.
Yeah, I think that obviously a coach wants to keep somebody in, their stable. I mean,
and I disagree with that. It shouldn't be that way. I don't want to keep them in my stable.
Well, that's what they do. They do that for a living. And you're right. I don't want to either. The reality of it is that, and hopefully somebody watching this kind of understands, like, when I take somebody on to mentor them for free, I have literally hundreds of people that want me to coach them. And they'll initially contact me. And I think you probably know this, Joe. I put them through a hoops jumping, and if they jump through those hoops, I'll continue to do stuff with them. And it's so funny because I'll get guys that'll go all the time like, I did his stuff, it didn't work. I said to myself, I asked you to do something, you never did it, and that was the end of our conversation. And sometimes it's a very simple task, but I want to see if these people are coachable. You understand? Yep. So they don't realize that I'm testing them. You know what I mean? I'm going, hey, go out and do this. Do 15 of these, and then after you get 15 of these done. And I love it when they come back.
And what you're doing is vetting your people to see whether they're worth the time.
It's a vetting process to see if they've got the grit. If they've got the grit, I'm going to work with them. Because, here's the thing. It all comes down to that. If they ain't got the grit, they don't got the heart, they're not going to – we could talk till we're blue in the face. They're not going to implement the things that they're going to do, and they're not going to be successful. So many people get into this business. And we were talking about Gerald Vest. You have a different opinion of Gerald. I have a better – I have a different opinion.
People got to realize –
I think that Gerald, and I only look at it from the marketing standpoint, the Lamborghini, the planes, it worked on that gal. Whether it was a negative impact or a positive impact, she remembers Gerald Vest because he's running around showing off his Lambo, running around flying his plane, and it works. And he always tells everybody he's 2 minutes.
One thing you got to realize about that,
we know he's not 2 minutes. We know he's not 2 minutes on a roof, but he's telling people that he made $1,400 in 10 minutes. Why do you think he's doing that, Joe?
Marketing.
That's marketing
himself. But one thing I want to point out on that, well, two things actually. First of all, one thing you got to realize, if you're going to turn around and get in these public forums like myself or you do, and you're going to put information out there and you're going to sell classes and stuff like that, then you have to be willing to take the criticism from the public also. It's not all going to be positive. The second thing going along with that is not everybody is going to learn from the same person. You have people that would reach out to you that might do excellent under your instruction. I have people that reach out to me that might do excellent under my instruction, or vice versa. But just because I'm teaching it don't mean everybody's going to absorb what I'm saying the way they would absorb it from you, or vice versa. So that's the thing. There is no right or wrong answer on who you should hire for a coach other than the person that you turn around and can relate to and finds a way to relate to you. Now, talking about Gerald Vest, since we brought him up, and I hope you don't mind us throwing him under a bus a little bit, I have nothing against Gerald Vest. I've never been to one of his classes. And the honest truth, if I saw him in a bar tomorrow, I would offer to buy him a drink. But would I pay for one of his classes? No. Not because I dislike Gerald Vest, not because I don't agree with the information he's putting out there. He just not has. I don't relate to Gerald Vest on that level. There's other people I would pay for. And it don't mean that Gerald Vest is a bad guy. Just like there's people that listen to me and say, hey, I love everything Joe puts out. And there's other people that say, I'm so tired of hearing Joe, I'm just going to hit the mute button every time I see him. It don't make what I'm saying right or wrong. it means that I'm relating to one audience and somebody else might be able to relate to another.
Absolutely. I got to tell you that I like Gerald. I think that
I think he's a fine guy. I've never had no problem with him.
Anybody that's bringing in, 20, 30 guys into a classroom every month, I mean, he's doing something right. You know what I mean? Now we all know, we can all sit there and go, well, his students are failing. Well, one, we don't know that. And two, they're going to fail. The numbers are already against them. You know what I mean? Failure as an entrepreneur is already set up. 4 out of 5 people are going to fail within the first 3 years. Most of them fail within the first year. So one thing people need to know when they're getting into the game of anything they're going to go do as an entrepreneur, you're already the odds are against you, man. I mean, they really are.
If it was that easy, everybody would be a business owner and nobody would be an employee.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and you I think a lot of people just have to realize that implementing some of these things, that whether it's free, whether it's being paid for, implementation is where it is. And I was going to get back to the point that I think the only real difference between paid coaching is paid better, is free better. I think that it's all individually based upon who the instructor is, whether the training is better or worse. But here's the psychology. The psychology is that if they pay for it, then they feel like they need to do it and they need to implement it. And we all know action is 99% of everything being successful. And then it's mental. All of it, I always tell everybody this. When you got a kid that can't hit, okay, there's only a few little things, we know the kid's got all the fundamentals down. We know he's rock solid. And at practice, he knocks the dang cover off the baseball, blah, blah, blah. You put him in the game. All of a sudden, kid strikes out every time. What does that all boil down to? Mental. When you're an entrepreneur, you're here, all these things sound great that we're talking about on the side. Hey, man, I can do sales now. I've been coached by Ron Muskers. I was coached by Braden Vaughn. You know what to do now. And then, boom, they go walk into the place, and what happens? They strike out. They strike out.
And, Ron, I know you've run into this before because you're like me. You help a lot of people out. And let me say something on the paid stuff first, then I'll get back to my point. Guys, the way I look at it in my situation, and I don't say everybody's got to be this way. If somebody calls me up and asks for a little bit of advice, 5-10 minutes, I'm on the phone with them, giving them some advice on how to bid a job or how to do this or do that, I have no problem with that, and I do it. And, no charge. I've never charged anybody for that. The only time I charge in my situation is if I'm taking 3, 4, 5 days to come out into somebody's company and work with them hands-on, one-on-one. Then I have to charge to compensate for my time. Not saying that's right for everybody out there. Some people charge by the minute. I don't care. That's between you and them if you do that. But the next point to think about on this is so many times people call us up, and I know you have this happen, Ron, and they say, I need your advice on something. Okay, and you listen to their problem and you give them your advice, and then they're saying, well, no, I don't agree with that. I'm going to do it this way, or I think we should do it. I should do it this way. I throw my hands up at that point, and I'm like, why did you bother calling? If you wanted to do it your way in the first place, what you were looking for, you didn't want me to give you my advice. You wanted me to agree with you so that if it fails, you can blame me and say, well, Joe said it. No, Joe didn't say it. I'll help somebody out. I'll give you my advice. I'll give you my opinions. I'll tell you what turnaround it makes my success. But I can't tell you that it's going to work for you.
Did you see that question right there?
No, I can't see the question, Ron.
What college gives an education classes for free? Well, where do we start? There's lots of colleges and classes and vocational camps.
I can go to Southeastern Community College right now and sign up.
I don't know about in your state, but in mine, almost all of the kids go to vocational training after high school, and they go for free.
Yeah, I can go right there to the community college and sign up for anything that
they want to do. They can go and get it for free. So I think that, like John, I mean, I know you're talking about major universities and things like that. Okay, hey man, if there's a college out there that's paying a coach $20 million a year to coach football, more than likely those classes are going to be very, very, very expensive. But
Yeah.
but most of the community stuff and most of the vocational things that are going on in most communities, they give an opportunity for a young person to go to for free. And I'm gonna tell you, man, not to get political, but I think Bernie. I think Bernie's right. I think when we give Yale, which we found out we were giving, Harvard, we were giving Harvard $300 million a year. I think that, man, college could be free for everybody, man.
Yeah.
What kind of college? What are we crazy when we're sitting there thinking about our tax dollars, a private college that charges some ridiculous tuition, and we're giving them our tax dollars, or much less, get political here, paying for a college coach to coach Michael Jordan $11 million a season?
I went to a years ago.
Crazy.
Listen to this. When I was in my 20s, early 20s, I went to a United Auto Workers training center, and I was in that for right at a year. And they taught you to be a mechanic. I had decided I was going to be a mechanic, so I went there. My father was a mechanic. And for a year, I went to the classes. I done good. I excelled at it. I got out. My father worked at a dealership, so I got to say he was able to pull some strings and got me hired on a dealership he worked at as his apprentice. The honest truth, I learned more in the first 2 weeks working under him as an apprentice than I did in the whole year. But that being said, I still learned the basics in that class. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both paid and hands-on.
Yeah, but we can go back. I love this thing that John brought that up because I'll give you an example of my own kid. She's 9 years old. She just did her first competition. She's only her second year in dance. She was second in show at a competition. This is a competition dance thing. This is very highly competitive. Okay.
Right.
When she went and did the first year of rec dance, she was bored to death. Okay. Because since the time she was 4 years old, she had been on YouTube basically self-teaching herself how to dance. Hours spent dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Self-teaching herself. I don't think with the information age out there right now, we are nowhere. People think I'm a crackpot or whatever. I think that it's going to be very difficult for universities in the future. It's going to be very
think so too. I agree with that. I think the technology out there, it's going to be very hard to convince somebody to pay for a college.
Absolutely. It's going to be very, very difficult. Now, John, he says, when you invest in your education, you have an interest to make it work. We said that.
I agree 100%.
Immediately when somebody hires a paid coach, the psychological thing kicks in going, man, I need to get a return on this. I paid money.
You know the people I like helping out, Ron, when I'm coaching? The people that I find the most, I get the most out of helping them. It's not the ones that are just starting out in business because, granted, they want to learn. I like the ones that started out in business, went through a year, 2 years, and now they're failing. They're just about to the point where they're ready to throw the towel in. They've already bumped their head against the wall, and then I can step in and show. Not because I like being the savior or wearing the cape, because they're the ones that have already turned around and tried these other things and realized it didn't work. So now they're the most open to learning, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. And I think it's kind of silly, but when people go, they use the term invest in yourself, man. I want to change that term. I want to come up with a different term. I'm going to say, like, hey, man, get some grit, get some heart, implement it within yourself. The investment is there. We are all our own investment. That's it. We are our own investment. You're going to make your own. You hold your own key to the destiny, man. I mean,
and another thing, Ron, for these people to realize, and I think I know I can say this, and I think you're saying the same thing. All these people that are out there coaching, teaching, none of them just turn out all of a sudden woke up one day and they were this awesome business owner or entrepreneur that just knew it all. And we all failed.
Oh, come on, Joe. Come
We've
on.
all failed along the way. Trust me, we've made mistakes. I guarantee you've made mistakes as you grew. I know I've made countless. Matter of fact, the next class that I ever teach at somewhere, you know what the class is going to be? How to ruin a business. And I'm going to talk about all the things that I've done wrong from start to finish.
Bill Booz used to teach a thing, fail fast. In other words, you know, the bottom line is we know that people are going to fail. And it's like, I guess it's like that parent thing. You know, remember our parents would tell us, hey man, don't do that. I've done that. You know, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Work, you know, and so many people, it works just like that because they're like, and I'll tell you, I got to tell you another thing, Joe, that is a big problem with people. And I always tell people this. I always go, you know, it's great that you're listening to, you know, you're being coached by this other person and there's another guy helping you, and then you find out there's a fourth guy helping you, and then there's a fifth guy helping you. And their mindset is, I'm going to get everybody to help me that can, and I'm going to take all that stuff, and I'm going to put the best of the best of all that together. The problem with that is if they all have different methods of the way from starting from A to C to get there, you're combining a bunch of garbage together, and you're not listening to the tried and true program of one person, because so many of these guys sit there and go, well, I'm going to do the best of this guy's. I'm going to do the best of that guy's, and I'm going to be better than them. It's never going to work. It's never going to work because.
And I hate that because I've had people call me up and say, well, Joe, what would you do in this situation? I tell them what I would do. And then they're like, well, so-and-so said that they would do this. And my thing is, well, why don't you talk to so-and-so? All I can tell you is what worked for me. Yeah. I can't tell you what works for so-and-so.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. And a lot of times it's just they listen to too many people and they don't take action enough on what you're trying to focus them on or what's one person's trying to focus on. And that's why I always tell them. I say, hey man, if you want to go have so-and-so coach you, do that. But do me a favor, get all those other people out of your head and listen to what Jimmy or Johnny or Billy's telling you and follow it and implement it, and I'm sure it's going to work because if I know Jimmy, Billy, or Johnny, I know they're successful, and I know that if you replicate what they did, and a lot of people don't understand it, like most of the people in the industry, it's just a replicating or repeating of something successful that they did. And so many people, this is another one that I see happen all the time. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're getting a little bit of success from it, and then all of a sudden they take a right turn, you know, and they go, man, I'm going to find something better because this is working, but I'm going to find something else.
Yep. I've seen that so many times. You get somebody on the right track, they start doing good, they get a little bit extra money in their bank account or whatever, they're starting to feel comfortable.
And they go on vacation
with what works. Next thing you know, they've switched the whole game up. Well, I'm going to try this way. Why would you switch up something that works?
Yeah.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah, all the time. That's a whole nother story, man. It really is. That's a whole nother. We can do a whole.
We were talking about. You said something earlier. I want to say that this is just my opinion on the subject. We were talking about most businesses fail in the first 3 years. Something I've seen. The first year is a struggle. You know going in and you're going to struggle. You turn around, get in there, and you hustle, and you hopefully make enough to show some kind of profit. Probably not great. By the second year, if you're doing things right, your repeat customers are coming in, and you turn around and now you got your repeat customers, you got your new customers coming in, you probably got some systems built in place. And the third year can go one of two ways. Either it can be your magic year, and this is not a set in stone for everybody, but it can either be your magic year or your failure year. Because I see so many people hit that second year where they're doing good, they get overconfident. They start, like you said, taking right turns where they shouldn't, where they should keep right on the same path. And then by the third year, you see them fold. And they're like, well, how did I fold? I done good for the first year. I got by. The second year, I done good. And the third year, I just lost everything because you didn't stay on track.
Here's an example of it, right? Coca-Cola. For 100 years, successful. One of the number one beverages in the world. Right? What'd they do a few years back, Joe?
Change the recipe.
That's a perfect example. And what happened to Coke?
Straight down.
Took a
And it
nose
happens
down.
all the time. You see it.
Yeah.
In restaurants.
And why would they change the rest? You got the number one beverage in the world, man. Who are the guys sitting there thinking, hey, man, you know what, man? I'm really bored here just serving the same old number one beverage in the world. Let's change this and see if we can tank this thing so we can make a comeback.
And, let's talk about that being bored in your business for a second. Because there does come a point where some of these guys get their business built and they get systems in place and it becomes mundane. It's just repeat. My suggestion to people when they get to that point that they feel bored in their business is go find something else to invest your time in. Go find another business. Put this one on cruise control. If you're that bored with it, either grow it or find something else to do to keep it interesting for you. But so many times that's when people want to start changing up and doing things completely different. There's nothing wrong with changing your business, guys, because from time to time we find things that aren't working. You do have to change them. But when you find something that works,
on that note, Joe, you're right. You know why? Because as an entrepreneur, we always want to be doing something new. We want to be building something. That's why we want to do that. But here's the thing: the fundamentals of what you do and how you make money stay the same, so that you can test and try and do new things to see if you can better it. But you have to be to a stage where, okay, the fundamentals are rolling or they're automated automatically and they're happening. Right. So the revenue is still coming in. So I can go out there and test the waters on these other things I want to try. That's just the nature of being an entrepreneur. And yeah, sometimes we stumble across a new way to do things. And, Gerald Best made a post about because he said the 5 worst words because we've always done it that way. We've always done it that way. And a lot of times, how does innovation happen if we constantly are doing things the same old way? No, because sometimes there is a better way. Sometimes though, change, it's inherent and it's just in our DNA. Change is very difficult for lots of people. People don't want to change.
And I'm one of the people, I'll be honest with you, I am the world's worst on that. When I get a system in place, I despise changing it. I've just recently changed my CRM and I'm pulling my hair out, not because it's a hard CRM, because I'm just so used to the other way. I get up in the morning, my system is I make a pot of coffee, I use the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I sit down and drink my coffee, I smoke my cigarettes. I have it down to a routine. And anytime I'm out of that routine or I have to show any change, I despise it. But I know there are times in life and in business that we have to make changes.
Absolutely. Gotta do it. I wonder if I can. There it is. 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 There it is.
So what's temperature out like there, Ron? We've been talking about all this coaching stuff. What's weather?
Let's see. Good to know what the weather is.
Holy cow! What the weather is out there?
Holy cow! It's cold. It's cold out.
What do you consider cold?
Well, today is going to be a high of 71. But look what
that's cold.
look what the temperature is right now, though. Look at that.
I can't see that. It's small.
It's 40. It's 43, but it's going to be 71 today. So it was cold last night. It was cold last night, man. 43 degrees, and then 70.
Well, hey, just think about it like this: it's only going to be another month and a half. We're going to be down in Florida enjoying some of that Florida sunshine.
Yeah. Well, 71 is pretty hot, and then pretty much all week it's going to be between 63 and 71 all week long. So
you can't beat that. That's perfect.
We're in good shape. Yep. John down there in Orlando, I bet it's pretty 69. Terry says it's 69 down there in Florida.
I know 2 years ago I spent the winter in Florida. Spent a month and a half down in Florida, and it was amazing. I'd wake up in the middle of winter. It was January, and I'm waking up walking outside in a pair of shorts and no shirt on and standing there drinking my morning coffee in the morning. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. Well, Ron, I'm going to get off here because I got to run. I got some other things to do this morning. But I enjoy talking to you.
Thanks for coming on, Joe. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Let's see if
Hey, guys, don't forget, guys, on January 19th and 20th, guys, January 19th and 20th, we are going to be in Sandestin, Florida. Free event, biggest training event that's ever going to happen. Get registered right down there below, nationalcleaningexpo.com. Enjoy seeing you guys out there, man. It's going to be a great event. Look forward to it, guys. Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First. We're out.